Good evening and welcome to Rajya Sabha TV. My name is Aditi Nagpal Girotra and you're watching News Tonight, where we bring you news updates from India and around the world. So let's go ahead with headlines first. Business Advisory Committee meeting of Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha to be held on Sunday. High on government's agenda in the monsoon session of Parliament are 11 bills to replace ordinances and 23 new bills. Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurates 1.75 lakh houses built under Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Gramin in Bhopal. Says average time of building houses came down to 45 to 60 days from 125 days during COVID-19 pandemic. Reiterates government's commitment towards empowering the poor. Prime Minister Modi cautions people against lowering their guard against the pandemic, urges strict adherence to COVID-19 protocols, including wearing face masks and social distancing till effective anti-coronavirus vaccine is found. BJP National President JP Nadda launches party's campaign Jan Jan Ki Pukar Atmanirbhar Bihar for upcoming election in the state. Holds seat-sharing talks with Chief Minister Nitish Kumar. And with trains running from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., metro services resume fully in Delhi after 6 months. All corridors, including the Airport Express line, now operational. Passengers urged to travel responsibly and follow safety guidelines. Ahead of the monsoon session of Parliament that begins on Monday, the Business Advisory Committees of both Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha will meet on Sunday. The government has listed 23 new bills for introduction in the monsoon session. These include 11 bills that will replace various ordinances.
Among them is an ordinance that aims to prevent violence against healthcare personnel. It makes acts of violence and harassment against healthcare personnel combating COVID-19 a non-bailable offence with a maximum punishment of 7 years imprisonment and 5 lakh rupees fine. Another ordinance that will be replaced relates to reduction in the salary of MPs by 30% for 1 year, beginning 1st April 2020. The amount will be utilised in the fight against the novel coronavirus. The Farmers Produce Trade and Commerce Promotion and Facilitation Bill 2020 will replace the ordinance to create an ecosystem where farmers and traders have the freedom to choose what produce they wish to sell and buy. This is aimed at facilitating remunerative prices through competitive alternative trading channels. Among the bills that the government has listed for introduction is the Jammu and Kashmir Official Language Bill 2020. It makes Kashmiri, Dogri and Hindi, along with the existing Urdu and English, the official languages in the Union Territory. According to the Lok Sabha Bulletin, the Multi-State Cooperative Societies Amendment Bill 2020 has also been listed for introduction. The bill seeks to rationalize government role and increase participation of members in the working of the multi-state cooperative societies to increase public faith in these societies and create a conducive environment for their growth and development. Other bills listed for introduction are the Factoring Regulation Amendment Bill 2020 and the Prohibition of Employment as Manual Scavengers and their Rehabilitation Amendment Bill 2020. The Lok Sabha will also discuss and vote on the first batch of supplementary demands for grants for the year 2020-21. It will also take up discussion and voting on the excess demands for grants for the year 2016-17.
Let's now take a look at the legislative and other government business that will be taken up during the 252nd session of the Rajya Sabha.
The Pesticides Management Bill 2020, introduced on 23rd of March 2020, will be moved for consideration and passing. The bill seeks to repeal the Insecticides Act 1968 and remove inadequacies of extant regulations. Among the bills passed by Lok Sabha and pending in Rajya Sabha are the Interstate River Water Disputes Amendment Bill 2019, The bill was passed by Lok Sabha on 31st of July 2019. The Dam Safety Bill 2019 passed by Lok Sabha on 5th August 2019. The Aircraft Amendment Bill 2020. The Institute of Teaching and Research in Ayurveda Bill 2020. Lok Sabha passed this bill on 19th March 2020. The Indian Institutes of Information Technology Laws Amendment Bill 2020. The Medical Termination of Pregnancy Amendment Bill 2020. The Surrogacy Regulation Bill 2019 that was passed by Lok Sabha on 5th August 2019. The bill as passed by the Lok Sabha was referred to a select committee of the Rajya Sabha on a motion moved by the minister in charge and adopted by the House on 21st November 2019. And report of the select committee was presented on 5th of February this year. The legislative business also includes new bills and those that are pending in Lok Sabha. The financial business includes consideration and return of the appropriation bill relating to the first batch of supplementary demands for grants for the year 2020-21 and discussion and return of the appropriation bill relating to the excess demands for grants for the year 2016-17.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated 1.75 lakh houses built under the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Grameen in Bhopal on Saturday. Speaking at the event that he inaugurated virtually, the Prime Minister called for strengthening the poor to eradicate poverty. He said the PM Awas Yojana is aimed at empowering the poor.
यहाँ से आप अपने नए जीवन की नई शुरुआत कीजिए। अपने बच्चों को, अपने परिवार को अब आप नई ऊंचाइयों पर लेकर जाइए। आप आगे बढ़ेंगे तो देश भी आगे बढ़ेगा। साथियों, कोरोना के काल में तमाम रुकावटों के बीच भी देश भर में प्रधानमंत्री आवास योजना के तहत 18 लाख घरों का काम पूरा किया गया है। उसमें 1,75,000 घर अकेले मध्य प्रदेश में ही पूरे किए गए हैं। उज्ज्वला का गैस कनेक्शन भी मिल रहा है। सौभाग्य योजना का बिजली कनेक्शन, उजाला का एलईडी बल्ब, पानी का कनेक्शन, सब कुछ घर के साथ ही मिल रहा है। यानी पीएम आवास योजना के आधार पर ही अनेक योजनाओं का लाभ लाभार्थी को सीधे मिले, ये देखा जा रहा है।
Cautioning people against lowering their guard, Prime Minister Modi once again urged people to follow COVID-19 protocols like wearing face masks and maintaining distance of 6 feet till an effective anti-coronavirus medicine is developed.
और ये बात बार बार मैं कहता हूं, जरूर याद रखिए। मुझे विश्वास है आप याद रखेंगे, इतना ही नहीं मेरी बात मानेंगे भी। देखिए, जब तक दवाई नहीं तब तक ढिलाई नहीं। याद रहेगा, जब तक दवाई नहीं तब तक ढिलाई नहीं। 2 गज की दूरी, मास्क है जरूरी, इस मंत्र को भूलना नहीं है।
And now let's take a look at the COVID-19 situation in the country. India reported a record surge in cases for the 3rd day in a row on Saturday. Total cases have now crossed 46.59 lakh.
97,570 fresh COVID-19 cases were recorded in India till Saturday morning, taking total novel coronavirus infections beyond 46.59 lakh. Total active cases are nearing 10 lakh, while 36.24 lakh patients have recovered. Death toll rose to 77,472 after 1,201 deaths due to COVID-19 were reported in the last 24 hours. Maharashtra is the state hit hardest by the pandemic, followed by Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka and Uttar Pradesh. These states account for 60% of the total case load and reported the highest number of cases and deaths in the last 24 hours. With a record 81,533 people recuperating from COVID-19 in a day, India's total recoveries on Saturday surged to 36,24,196, of which 60% cases are from Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka and Uttar Pradesh. India's COVID-19 case fatality rate has further dropped to 1.66%, while the recovery rate has risen to 77.77%. According to the Health Ministry, over 3/4 of reported COVID-19 cases in India have recovered. The percentage of active cases stands at 20.7%. With a focus on testing, total samples tested for COVID-19 stand at 5.51 crore. Over 10.91 lakh samples were tested on Friday. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Vaccine maker Bharat Biotech says animal trials of its COVID-19 vaccine candidate Covaxin were successful. The company said the results showed immune response, protective efficacy in phase 1 clinical trials in India. Covaxin is being developed by the Indian Council of Medical Research and Hyderabad-based Bharat Biotech. It is being tested at 12 institutes across India. A statement said a 2-dose vaccination regimen of inactivated SARS-CoV-2 vaccine candidates was administered in 20 monkeys divided into 4 groups. Results showed protected efficacy, increased SARS-CoV-2 specific antibody, and reduced replication of the virus in the nasal cavity, throat, and lung tissues. In another development, AstraZeneca has said that it has resumed the trial of its potential COVID-19 vaccine. The company said the trials resumed following confirmation by the Medicines Health Regulatory Authority that it was safe to do so. The late-stage trials of the vaccine were suspended earlier this week following an unexplained illness in a UK participant. Delhi Metro resumed its full service on Saturday, with the Airport Express line reopening after nearly 6 months.
All corridors of the metro network are now operational. Trains will operate at the pre-COVID-19 schedule from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. The Delhi Metro Rail Corporation has urged passengers to travel responsibly and follow safety guidelines. The Ministry of Home Affairs had recently issued guidelines for resumption of metro services in a graded manner. Under Stage 1, Yellow Line and Rapid Metro resumed services on September 7th with restricted service hours. Service hours were extended on Friday, while on Saturday, Delhi Metro became fully operational on all lines operating at regular timings. The metro services have resumed after nearly 6 months. Meanwhile, 80 new special trains also became operational from Saturday. These will be fully reserved trains, booking for which started on Friday. This is in addition to 30 special Rajdhani trains and 200 special Mail Express trains running at present.
Calling for international cooperation to combat the COVID-19 pandemic, the United Nations adopted a resolution recognizing COVID-19 as one of the greatest challenges in its history.
The UN also acknowledged the World Health Organization's key leadership role in responding to the outbreak. It called for solidarity among nations and international cooperation to overcome the pandemic. India joined 168 nations to vote in favor of the resolution. The United States and Israel voted against the resolution, while Ukraine and Hungary abstained from voting. Meanwhile, the pandemic is worsening worldwide, with total cases crossing 28.6 million and the death toll surpassing 9.2 lakh. Globally, over 20.2 million people have recovered so far. The United States remains the worst-hit country, with total cases crossing 6.63 million and deaths over 1.97 lakh. Brazil had a daily count of 43,718 new COVID-19 cases, raising its tally to over 4.28 million. COVID-19 death toll in Mexico surpassed 70,000 on Friday, with the total cases rising to 6.58 million. France had over 9,000 COVID-19 cases on Friday, taking the nationwide tally to over 3.63 lakh. It has now added 42 departments, including Paris, as red zones and ramped up testing to clamp the spread of the disease. Italy had 1,616 new cases on the day, bringing the nationwide tally to over 2.84 lakh. Spain reported 4,708 new infections on Friday, bringing its cases tally to over 5.66 lakh. COVID-19 deaths in Australia reached 803 on Saturday, but new infections continued to fall. Victoria, the epicenter of the outbreak, reported 6 deaths and 37 new cases. However, the state's lockdown, which was due to end on Sunday, has been extended for another 2 weeks. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
BJP National President JP Nadda on Saturday launched the party's election campaign Jan Jan Ki Pukar Atmanirbhar Bihar for the upcoming elections in Bihar.
Inaugurating the campaign in Patna, he said this will give a boost to Prime Minister Modi's dream to make a self-reliant India. Nadda also called on Chief Minister Nitish Kumar at his residence and reportedly discussed seat sharing for the upcoming polls. Deputy Chief Minister Sushil Kumar Modi and Bhupendra Yadav accompanied Nadda for the meeting.
जहां बिहार की बदलती तस्वीर देख रहा हूं, मुझे पूरा विश्वास है चुनाव के मैदान में एनडीए का गठबंधन नीतीश जी के नेतृत्व में भारतीय जनता पार्टी और लोक जनशक्ति पार्टी सभी मिलकर चुनाव लड़ेंगे और विजयश्री हासिल करेंगे। नीतीश जी के नेतृत्व में ये मैं सबके साथ आप सब लोग मिलकर के बिहार को एक नई ऊंचाइयों पर ले जाएंगे और आने वाली सरकार जो एनडीए की सरकार होगी वह विकास युक्त होगी और आगे बढ़ेगी।
Meanwhile, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will dedicate 3 new developmental projects to the state related to the petroleum sector on Sunday. The Prime Minister will unveil these projects through video conferencing. Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar will also be present on the occasion.
Ahead of Bihar Assembly polls, the Election Commission has issued fresh guidelines about publishing the criminal antecedents of all candidates in the fray.
All candidates will now have to advertise any criminal antecedents in the media thrice. The first time within the first 4 days of the last date of withdrawal. A second publication should be within the 5th and the 8th day of the last date of withdrawal, and the third and final publication from the 9th day till the last date of campaign, that is 2 days prior to the date of poll. The poll panel also made it clear that uncontested winning candidates as well as the political parties who nominate them will also publicize the criminal antecedents, if any.
In a major organizational reshuffle on Friday, Congress President Sonia Gandhi revamped the Central Working Committee, the highest decision-making body of the party.
The new CWC has 22 members, 26 permanent invitees and 9 special invitees. Permanent invitees include Digvijay Singh, Salman Khurshid, Jairam Ramesh, Pramod Tiwari and Chinta Mohan. P. Chidambaram was elevated from a permanent invitee to full-time member of the CWC. Of the 23 leaders who wrote to Sonia Gandhi seeking an overhaul of the party, Ghulam Nabi Azad and Anand Sharma continue to be regular members of the CWC, while Jitin Prasada is a permanent invitee to CWC. The party's Central Election Authority will have Madhusudan Mistry as its chairman, who will elect the new Congress president. A 6-member special committee will assist Sonia in organizational matters. It will include A.K. Antony, Ahmed Patel, Ambika Soni, K.C. Venugopal, Mukul Vasnik and Randeep Surjewala. Senior leaders Ghulam Nabi Azad, Motilal Vora, Ambika Soni, Mallikarjun Kharge, Luisinho Falero have been dropped as AICC General Secretaries. Some young leaders considered close to Rahul Gandhi have been given key posts. They include Randeep Surjewala, Ajay Makan, Jitendra Singh and K.C. Venugopal, who have been made General Secretaries. There is no change in the role of Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, who is the AICC General Secretary in charge for Uttar Pradesh.
Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu praised women e-rickshaw driver Munmun Sarkar for her service during the COVID-19 pandemic. In a Twitter message, Vice President Naidu said he greatly appreciates the selfless service of Munmun Sarkar in ferrying COVID-19 patients free of charge to hospitals in her e-rickshaw in Siliguri, West Bengal. He said by braving all odds and carrying on with her noble work, she has set an example to others. 48-year-old Munmun Sarkar, the first woman e-rickshaw driver of Siliguri in Darjeeling district, now heads the Association of Women e-rickshaw drivers in the town. She also delivers food and other relief materials to those in need. The Joint Entrance Exam or JEE mains result were announced on Friday. 24 students scored 100 percentile in the engineering entrance exam that was postponed twice due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Telangana has a maximum 8 100 percentile scorers, Delhi is second with 5, Rajasthan has 4, Andhra Pradesh 3, Haryana 2. One candidate each is from Gujarat and Maharashtra. The joint entrance exam mains for admission to engineering colleges was conducted from 1st September to 6 September amid stringent precautions and social distancing measures. 8.58 lakh candidates had registered for the JEE mains exam for admission to courses in IITs, NITs and centrally funded technical institutions. Only 74% students appeared for the exam. Based on the results of the JEE mains paper 1 and paper 2, the top 2.45 lakh candidates will be eligible to appear for the JEE advanced exam, which is a one-stop exam to get admission into the 23 premier IITs. JEE Advanced is slated to take place on 27th of September. Five Indians who went missing from a bordering village in Arunachal Pradesh have been released by China. They returned to India on Saturday afternoon. All 5 of them will be quarantined for 14 days as per COVID-19 protocol before being handed over to their families.
The 5 Indians who went missing from Arunachal Pradesh's Upper Subansiri district were handed over to India on Saturday afternoon. Stating this on Twitter, Union Minister Kiren Rijiju appreciated the Indian Army's efforts for the smooth return of Indian citizens. He also thanked Indian Army Chief, his office and the local commanders for constantly following up the matter. The 5 villagers entered India with the army personnel accompanying them. After the reports of 5 youth missing from the Sino-India border surfaced on 2nd of September, the Indian Army sent a hotline message to the PLA establishment at the border point in Arunachal Pradesh. China initially said it was unaware of any Indians missing, but on 8th of September, the PLA confirmed they were found on the Chinese side.
India and ASEAN have adopted a 5-year plan of action for mutual cooperation in trade and strategic matters during and after the post-COVID era.
The plan of action from 2021 to 2025 was adopted in a virtual ministerial meeting between India and ASEAN on Saturday. India was represented by External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, while the Foreign Minister and Deputy Prime Minister of Thailand, Don Pramudwinai, represented ASEAN. The meeting was attended by all 10 ASEAN members and India. The emphasis was on how to tackle the economic and political situation emerging in the Indo-Pacific after the COVID-19 pandemic. Meanwhile, Minister of State for External Affairs V. Muralidharan participated in the ASEAN Regional Forum, where he shared India's views on maritime security, counter-terrorism and the COVID-19 pandemic. The ASEAN Regional Forum adopted 3 statements enhancing cooperation to prevent and respond to infectious disease outbreaks, treatment of children recruited by or associated with terrorist groups, and cooperation in the field of security, including the use of ICTs in the context of international security. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
India has said that any peace process in Afghanistan must be Afghan-led, Afghan-owned and Afghan-controlled. This came as External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar addressed the intra-Afghan talks in Doha on Saturday. The ceremony started the process of negotiations between the Afghan government and Taliban, while External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar joined in virtually. J.P. Singh, Joint Secretary in MEA, took part in person.
The Afghanistan government and Taliban started talks in Doha on Saturday. This follows the 29th of February agreement between the US and the Taliban on the withdrawal of US troops. The Afghan government's chief negotiator Abdullah Abdullah called for a humanitarian ceasefire with the Taliban. In his address, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar said that the peace process must be Afghan-led, Afghan-owned and Afghan-controlled.
Any peace process must be Afghan-led, Afghan-owned and Afghan-controlled. It has to respect national sovereignty and territorial integrity of Afghanistan. It should promote the values of human rights and democracy that can foster development. The interests of the minorities, women and vulnerable must be ensured. And most important, the issue of violence across the country and its neighborhood has to be effectively addressed.
Joint Secretary in the Ministry of External Affairs, J.P. Singh, witnessed the ceremony in Doha. He is the government's points person on India's ties with three countries, Pakistan, Afghanistan and Iran. Earlier, India had attended the signing of the US-Taliban Pact on 29th of February. 30 countries, including US, Turkey, Germany, China and Pakistan and Iran, took part in the intra-Afghan peace talks today.
We believe firmly that protecting the rights of all Afghans is indeed the best way for you to break the cycle of violence. Of course, I can only urge these actions. You will write the next chapter in Afghan history. We hope this chapter is one of reconciliation and progress, not another chronicle of tears and bloodshed.
Bahrain has become the latest Arab nation to agree to normalize diplomatic ties with Israel after the UAE.
US President Donald Trump announced the agreement on Friday on the 19th anniversary of the September 11, 2001 terrorist attack. The announcement came after a three-way phone call he had with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Bahrain's King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa. The three leaders also issued a brief six-paragraph joint statement attesting to the deal. Friday's Bahrain-Israel deal will normalize diplomatic, commercial, security and other relations between the two countries. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has also praised Bahrain's decision to normalize ties with his country.
In the spirit of peace and cooperation, both leaders also agreed that Bahrain will fully normalize its diplomatic relations with Israel. They will exchange embassies and ambassadors, begin direct flights between their countries, and launch cooperation initiatives across a broad range of sectors, including health, business, technology, education, security, and agriculture. This is a truly historic day.
It took us a full 26 years from Israel's second peace agreement with an Arab state to the third peace agreement. And now it's taken us only 29 days from the third peace agreement to the fourth. What a change. I want to express my appreciation to His Majesty the King of Bahrain for joining the Circle of Peace, and my appreciation for Crown Prince Mohammed bin Zayed from the United Arab Emirates for working with Israel and the United States to expand the Circle of Peace.
The move is part of a broader diplomatic push by President Donald Trump and his administration to fully integrate the Jewish state into the Middle East. A month ago, the United Arab Emirates agreed to normalize ties with Israel under a US-brokered deal, which is scheduled to be signed at a White House ceremony hosted by Trump next week.
So with this, it's a wrap on this edition of News Tonight. Thank you so much for joining us.